This is FAM News. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to FAM News, your go-to for inclusive sports. I'm Mike Crawford.
I'm Fred Green.
And I'm Alec Diaz.
And we are
Team FAM.
Today we're going to be going over some news that we found in the Sport Business Journal regarding the world of inclusive sports, which, for those who may not know, is sports that try to include everybody.
Some examples are Miracle Leagues helping out disabled kids play baseball, Special Olympics, and water aerobics helping out people.
Today our main focus will be talked on women being involved in the sports business world and information we got from our sports business journals.
All right, let's go to Alec with the first article.
After reading through the sports business journals, talk about a character named Danny Ryland, who is a National Women's Hockey League co-founder and commissioner of this league. She is sponsoring these two hockey teams, the Minnesota Whitecaps and the Minnesota Wild, which are two separate gender teams, trying to get them to work together through sponsorships, marketing, and to invest in money for the company. Women's teams must make the most of the small budgets they get. Men have more budgets. It happens everywhere. It happens at our school. She's just trying to work it through the Minnesota Wild and the Minnesota Whitecaps. Women's teams, tours, leagues pride themselves on being innovative and prioritizing accessibilities. So they want them to be the very best. They want them to go out there and play as hard as the men do and possibly compete with the men. When Ryland pitches these NHL teams on the benefits of partnering with NWHL team, she tells them, we all have the same goals, building forever fans and advancing the game. Danny Ryland talks about the NHL and the WNHL. There's other things she talks about, like the NBA or the WNBA, or even some soccer teams that get involved in the same situations when men and women want to play together in the same sports. In the NBA and the WNBA, they have several teams, such as the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Lynx, basically working together. Men's team and the girls' team playing together to get the same marketing goals and the same strategies as the NHL teams, as the Minnesota Whitecaps and the Minnesota Wild. She's looking for basically all teams to support one another. It doesn't matter the gender, it doesn't matter who or what sports they play in. But of course, after the 22 years, the NBA and the WNBA offer the most visible, complex, and successful example of how men's sports and other sports can basically work together. So throughout social media, there's also a women's rights movement going around there. Hashtags such as MeToo or Time's Up are movements showing empowerment by women and prompt serious conversations about gender inequality, including them in sports that they want to play, that men play, basically competing against one another. One of my favorite topics is the LPGA and the PGA, the merge between one another. Two club teams, men and women, competing against...
My bad.
Sorry about my friend Mike there. But as I was saying, hopefully in the year 2020 is what everyone's hoping to see this is going to happen between the PGA or the LPGA. The two sports, men and women, golf, competing against one another, fighting to see who's actually better, which the girls can actually do. I'm going to hand it over to Mike now.
All right, thanks a lot, Alec. Well, bad ball anyway, what are you going to do? All right, now let's go to Fred Green over here. Fred, how you doing today?
Good. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing great. Now, I got some questions for you about the article that you read in the Sport Business Journal. First, what was like the main point of what you read?
Women in the U.S. today having a great effect on sports business.
Awesome, great to hear. So, what are some of the roles of these women that are so prominent in the sport business world?
They are really in the key making roles in like CEO.
CEOs, okay, awesome. So, about how many women would you say have there been that have excelled in the sport business role in recent history?
There's been about 302 women in the last 8 years excelling in the business.
It's a lot of women. It's a lot of women in the sporting world. Could you give me an example of one?
Shara Springer. Shara Springer has been in Boston Celtics, a writer, called a beat writer, something like a storyteller writer.
Okay. Do you have any examples of somebody around campus that might be like that?
Around campus, Marco.
Marco definitely is a beat writer around campus.
Women's sports have been undercover. Shara brings a great point of view on equality and opportunity. In businesses, hiring anyone just because they are a woman or a diversity candidate, just hire the best candidate, best for the job.
Yep. Okay. All right. Thanks, Fred. That was some great insight there. Now let's go to Mike with his segment. Oh. All right, thanks, Mike. So I'm here today to talk to you guys about a specific section within the Sport Business Journal called Game Changers. Now these Game Changers are 35 women within the sport business world that fill roles all the way from top executives in professional franchises to maybe some lower level sponsorships associated with these different professional organizations. This section is filled with biographies of these women, depicts some of their most influential people in their careers, their most memorable moments, kind of, biography stuff like that. And I just kind of wanted to take this opportunity to share with you 3 of the women that I think have played a very big role within the sport business world. First person I want to talk about is Miss Kathy Beauregard, who is the Director of Athletics at Western Michigan University. She was hired there in 1997, which makes her the longest tenured athletic director in the MAC conference. When she was hired in 1997, she was one of only 7 females to be named athletic director of an FBS football school. Among her proudest moments in her career was allowing the opportunity for Western Michigan's football team to go undefeated in 2016 with a record of 13-0, only to lose in the Cotton Bowl to Wisconsin Badgers. And sorry, Kathy, but go Badgers. So the next woman on our list of game changers is Whitney Johnson, who is the Chief Experience Officer at Pilot Flying J. Now, for those of you who know what this company is, you may be wondering what it has to do with the sport and business world. But for those of you who don't know, it is the country's largest chain of travel stores and truck stops. Now, they've only been in the sport business world for about 2 years, and that was because Johnson thought that the brand needed a new image, basically for the first time since it was founded in 1993. So the first major move that she made was becoming the title sponsor of the 2016 college football season opener between Tennessee and Virginia Tech, played at Bristol Motor Speedway in Bristol, Tennessee. Now this game was the first of its kind because the field was constructed in the middle of a NASCAR racetrack. It shattered attendance records with 156,990 people attending this game. And since then, Pilot Flying J has become the corporate sponsor of the SEC as its official truck stop, which is huge for the company because the SEC is one of the most well-known and most popular college football conferences. When asked about her proudest professional moment, Johnson talked about this game, and in quote, she said, "We brought together college football, NASCAR, and country music into one weekend." Now, I don't know who wouldn't like that.
Sure.
So the last woman on our list is Michelle Kennedy, who is the Chief Operating Officer for the NHL's Nashville Predators. When she took over this position in 2008, Nashville was among the worst in the NHL of fan support and talent altogether. So they were on the verge of being relocated to another city. To avoid that, Ms. Kennedy was part of the rebuild process that helped Nashville back to becoming one of the most prominent franchises in the NHL with perhaps the biggest fan support. This was all highlighted by the team's 2017 run to the Stanley Cup Final, in which tens and thousands of fans flooded the streets to watch the game on big screens, only to lose to my Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, each of these 3 women and all of the women that we have talked about today are perfect examples of how women, when included in the sport and business industry, can not only compete with what the men do, but they can excel in their positions. Good? All right, and that's it. We'd like to thank you guys for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. I'm Mike.
I'm Fred.
And I'm Alec.
From everybody here at FAM News, we'll see you next time, Lakers.
I'm Fred Green.
I'm Alec Diaz.
And we are
Team Fam.
The world of is the world of sports that try to include everybody.
Some examples are
Some real great examples, Fred.
I heard your voice.
to an important issue that speaks on equality and opportunity. In businesses,
That was fine. Like, I thought it was good.
Women's sports have been undercovers. Shower brings a sharp point of view to equality.
That was not fine.